We are a group of friends, bound by our appreciation for liberty and good podcasting. Free-minded thinkers from all walks of life, our values come together with one accord to discuss the common culture and news of the day, along with whatever random crap is going on in our lives. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns.
I always say you should aim for peace, but if you can't aim for peace, aim between the eyes.
That was McGregor. Anyways, welcome to episode number 7 of Union of the Unknowns. We are super sad because we don't have our host Ashley with us today, but don't fret because she'll be with us for our bonus episodes of Not Your Mama's News on Thursday. So, and Terrence, because he's Terry Canary, and he lives on some remote island somewhere with his beautiful wife, is having internet connection issues and wasn't able to make it today either. So, Terry, if you're listening to this, we love you dearly. Anyhow, my name is Jacqueline, ATL Connector, and I am the lead honcho, whatever. Not really, but whatever.
Head honcho. Wait, just wait, head honcho.
We have our beautiful. Anybody want to have your second degrees of connection? Big Perm. Hey, Big Perm.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
And we have our favorite Latino, Michael. What's up?
Hello, everyone. J. Will, Carbonated Concepts.
And everybody's favorite sweetheart, who I like to call our center of peace or sensibility. I mean, not peace, definitely not peace, but center of sensibility. I like to call him our normie, although he doesn't agree with that. Kilthor. Hey, Kilthor.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are going to talk about climate change.
Oh, dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Heavy subject.
And I'm probably throwing some chemtrails and stuff like that, which we all see, but most don't believe.
All right, so
I mean, what do people think are up there anyways?
I can wrap this up. So climate change is fake, right? Everybody's in agreement? Okay, great
Yes.
episode, guys.
All right, podcast is over.
Listen, we don't get paid the big bucks from our non-advertisers, okay, for a 2-second episode, all right? So go ahead, get started. You guys were the ones talking about this last night.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's
Lead
up,
off.
Buttercup?
yeah, well, you know what? Climate change is maybe true. Who knows? But I don't think the solutions that everybody's talking about are the ones that we need to be pursuing.
I really feel like it's another sense of them to be able to control. I think that winter, summer, fall, autumn, and spring are called seasons for a reason. Yeah.
Well, so I'm just going to kind of lead into a subject then. If they're talking about us getting these electronic cars, hey, get these EVs. We'll give you a discount to get these EVs, blah, blah, blah. Everybody, it's going to save the world. But then you look down in California where they're having this power grid struggle. And I don't know how true this is, but
And
I
in
heard
Oregon.
it was recommended to not charge your car over time, over a certain, like, hey, man, we have these fire warnings. We need the power. Don't charge your car. To the point that I heard that they were like, you're not charging your car tonight. And they literally cut the power to those people or to a certain subsect of people. But I'm saying, though, once you go with these, I feel like this EV car thing is maybe the first step of this climate control scam BS thing they're trying to pull on us. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, not only that, but with all these electric vehicles, like the electric vehicles, I don't want to start naming them off, but
Tesla.
how do we know that they've already been proven to be hacked, right? So how do we know that with some of these individuals are already working and probably funded by the government and the CIA and stuff like that. And how do we know that they're not going to just come in and say, oh, this person has a low social credit score, so they're not allowed to drive their vehicle today, and we're going to go ahead and shut it off?
Yeah, like
That's
That
you
what
can be
they-
done. That could be
Huh?
done with gas-powered vehicles too. I can start and stop my car with an app on my phone.
I cannot. So
I have adaptive cruise control. I'm sure anybody could get a hold of my vehicle and drive me into a tree at 120 miles an hour if they want to. So
what
that's
does
not just
adaptive
an
cruise
EV
control
thing.
mean?
So basically, the car keeps distance for me. I set it at a speed and it follows traffic. If traffic slows down, it slows down without me having to brake or do anything.
Is it almost like an auto drive? Like it'll curve with the road? Like
Yeah,
if
it
you're on a
keeps
freeway,
me
it'll end
between
with
the
it.
lines if there's
Yeah.
decent paint on the road. If you're on some back road with like barely any markings or something, it's gonna have a hard time. But on normal roads with good paint, it keeps you in the lane. And if you need to take your hands off the wheel for a minute, not a minute, it'll yell at you if you do it for a minute. But if you need to take your hands off the wheel for 10 seconds or something, you're fine.
I hear you.
Yep. Yeah, my car's got that too. It's kind of creepy to let it just take your hands off the wheel and let it try to keep your car like you were saying. It's I have a Subaru and it's got the stereoscopic vision cameras up on the top of the windshield.
Talking
And
about the 360 view.
no, it's not that. It's a it's 2016, I think. But anyway, yeah, it'll nudge you away from the lanes as you're going.
Yeah, mine does that too.
And
That's-
but it won't drive around a corner or something. But it's
If the
still
freeway is just bending though, will it do it?
yeah, if it's not too sharp, it'll keep
Yeah, like
Yeah.
pushing you a little bit
10
over.
degree turn or whatever. Like
Yeah, no, it's not. And
I
so I use that if I'm on a long trip, and I can tell that I'm getting kind of tired, and I'll say, well, I better turn that on just in case, and it'll kind of wake you up because it'll knock the wheel a little bit as you're driving. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm in traffic on my way home from work every day that stops a lot, and it's nice to just have it slow down for me and stop, and I don't gotta keep my feet on the pedals the whole time.
Mm.
And
You're
if
not a
we're
true
stopped
driver.
for like
You're
5
Yeah.
seconds, I just have to press the resume button
you're a
and
borderline
it'll
millennial.
go again once traffic starts. So I don't really have to mess with the pedals at all.
I mean,
Do you even know
I'd
how to
see
drive a stick shift?
Yeah, most of what I've owned were manuals.
I was gonna say like the biggest probably perk to that because I didn't realize it worked when stop and go traffic when you're like dude. So if it does that, I mean that pays for itself.
That's the
on its
best
own.
part.
Yeah, that's the most tedious part about driving.
my friend has a Tesla, and it will actually drive itself on the road. But he was demonstrating for me one time. We were on a road trip, and it will kind of misinterpret intersections sometimes. Like if you're on a country highway, and the speed limit is still up to 70 or something, but you'll have non-lighted intersections, just a road that's coming across the highway, and it'll see that and think it's an intersection, and it'll start braking when you're approaching it. So that's kind of a
Wait,
downside. But
on the freeway, there's intersections that cross with no
yeah,
lights.
like the ones that aren't next to a big city, that are way out in the country.
Interesting. Makes sense.
Multi-lane highways out there without, there's no lights or anything. But it is pretty cool though, because those Teslas, if you've ever been in one, they've got these huge screens in the console there, and it has all sorts of information, and you can play games and watch movies and stuff. But when it's doing the auto drive thing, you'll see the position of your vehicle and all the other vehicles around you, and it detects the stuff in real time, so you can see
That's crazy.
merging around you and stuff like that.
So strange.
That's pretty cool.
I remember I
mean,
was at CES 2013 and I saw Tesla on display there, and that screen just got me. I was like, wow, that thing's like 24-inch screen or something like that in the middle of this.
iPad on there.
It was like in the center of the dash.
Mm-hmm.
Funny story about Tesla. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but they have the S series, they have the E series, they have the X series, and they have the Y series. It's the sexy series.
Yeah, Elon's a
yeah,
kid
I
in
was like,
a lot of
that's
ways.
clever. Like, that's good.
Did you know that the Tesla has speakers in the car seats underneath your butt, and
No,
you can make fart noises
on
from the
somebody
console.
else's seat.
And you can make the cars dance, and they'll
I've
like
heard of dancing. I've
start
never
to
actually
shake
seen
it, like moving weird and stuff.
Really?
starts working. All right. So, Jacqueline,
All for the environment.
Yes.
what would you like to go next with this
Yeah, we
environmental
kind of went
topic?
off
I
the
was gonna
rails
lead
with
it.
cars
Go
right
ahead,
there.
finish the
I
thought.
don't know. I mean, I'm a car girl and all, but I like the old style cars. But
I have a
anyhow,
1974 Plymouth Duster in the garage too. So
Jesus, calm
I
Does it
down.
like the
work?
old cars.
Flexing.
does it work?
It did before we disconnected the motor. We're putting a different one in. So
Oh, well, hopefully you can figure out how to like have it run off of water or
that'd be
oil
dope.
or something
Well,
like that. So
hey.
that way you can,
Run
you
for
you know, if
figure it
thousands.
out,
everything goes to shit, you need to get out. Like even if you just have water or whatever.
if you
I
figure
got
it
some
out,
big old tires on that thing too. So
don't post movies about it on YouTube. If you
No,
figure
because
out
you'll
how to
be
run it.
yeah,
assassinated.
I'll be
and we don't
dead.
want
You
to
guys would be like, "What the fuck happened to Perm?"
Yeah, we don't want you to be assassinated because you heard about that police officer that got assassinated because he had learned how to run his vehicle on water,
H.
whatever it was.
Allegedly, he had figured out how to do that.
It's
I mean, I saw a video that it worked. So
listen. I don't know if that's 100% true. The water thing, because I've heard that, but they've always been assassinated. And I mean, logically, if you can get a pressure cooker to work and condensate and put the water back in and repressurize, maybe okay. But the real shit, a gasinator. Has anybody heard of a gasinator?
Oh
no,
yeah,
what's that?
I can't
What's a
say that I have.
gasinator?
You can. It looks like a water heater. It's like this big thing, and I don't know. You can just YouTube it. I don't understand how it works, but you can throw anything in it:
Well-
roadkill, wood, dead weeds, anything, and it just burns it, and creates energy from it.
Energy.
And they go
Wood.
a quart of wood is like 1,000,000 miles. But the
Yeah.
way the system works, so I'm just saying, like,
Would that
before
run a whole
hydro-
car though, or it just runs like a small system?
You can run a car, you can run a truck, you can run a semi. You just have to build
Well-
the motor bigger. But
the thing about it is when you heat wood to the point of burning, but you keep it inside of an enclosed system, the wood emits flammable gas.
That
And
makes
it's
sense.
just regular wood. And I don't remember what the gas is called, but it's a biogas, and you can use it as fuel. So you're combusting that gas in the engine.
it's
I don't
like,
think it's as efficient as what
as
you're
I'm
saying.
saying.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
I mean it's a legitimate thing, but you still have to have a burning heat source in order to smolder the wood like that. And smolder is not the right word either, because it doesn't actually smoke or anything. It's just you're heating it to a
That's
point
all.
where the gas is being released.
But it's at least more efficient than gasoline. At least from my, I mean, I've heard it was 100 times more efficient. So I'm just saying,
If
is
you
it
could,
at least
if
by
you
your
could gasify the wood and then collect the gas separately, and then just put the gas fuel in your tank at that point, then it would probably be at least as convenient as filling up with liquid fuel. But I'm sure the whole process and industry and for converting oil to gasoline is at least way cheaper than it would be to start doing gasification at this point, just because we have it available. But any new fuel source should be looked at, in my opinion.
agreed? I wanted to jump in this on the last pod, but this one, I just feel like
This
a
one
lot
was
of
kind of
this,
open, so just go for it.
yeah, this like whatever energy crisis or energy conservation or
That was
save
really funny, Beaver.
Thank you, Beavis and Butthead.
I love the ad lib. But
My
I'm just
bad.
saying, like, I feel like a lot of stuff that's done now is just mainly not for the good of society. It's not like, hey, you can increase the average person's life by 6 months if you did this. No, it's all for profit. So I'm really concerned with how they're handling the energy crisis. Like we're talking about, we can do gasifiers or we can do blah blah blah. I just feel like the way that they're trying to pinch us and force us to the electricity and take away the fossil fuels is just a way to narrow us. You know
But
what I'm
it's
saying? I guess
collapsing our electrical
bottleneck
system
us would
too.
be the word.
A
Exactly.
100%. But it's collapsing our electrical system. So here's one of the things from when I was even back in like high school, middle school, whatever it was. I remember as a child when they were talking about new inventions and stuff like that that were being created, or new products that they were like introducing because this one product was hazardous in the environment. I was always thinking, I always thought, well, not one thing is going to provide all solutions, because each thing has issues of its own, right? And it's like, so what issues do we want over the other? Because at first it was plastics, right? And then you have to recycle plastics. And then one time it was glass, and then we can recycle glass, right? So that stuff was solved. And then it was styrofoam, but now they've found solutions for styrofoam, right? So, like, for example, we talked about Home Depot. One of the amazing things that they do is turn all that styrofoam and stuff like that and turn it into insulation in your heating things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know
We
exactly.
stopped
Filters.
recycling glass here like 15 years ago. It's
You
super
stopped,
weird.
you
Like
said?
we
Yeah.
always did when I was growing up, and then all of a sudden they stopped accepting it. So I throw it in the trash. Some people drive to like the fire station and put it in like a bin or something, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to carry
Do you
a
know why
bag
they
full of
stopped
glass to
recycling
the
glass
bin.
though?
Because
No, I have
What
no
are the
idea
fire
why.
stations doing with it if your whole own place isn't doing with it? Because they still have to send it somewhere.
Right?
It takes more energy to recycle the glass than it takes to make new glass.
Yep.
It's the same thing with, dude, if you look, just Google how much aluminum that you recycle. It's like 8% or like 11% of the aluminum you actually recycle gets recycled. It's like you might as well throw it in the dump. They're just like, oh,
Well,
trash.
You
This
can
is-
infinitely recycle aluminum, but it's the plastics that they don't recycle hardly at all. But plastic is always the thing that they ask you to recycle, and it's ridiculous. It's just a scam. It's just
such a
you.
But
Yeah.
it makes you feel like you're doing your part or something.
yes.
Yeah.
It's an American thing, bro.
The local municipalities get federal funding when they have a recycling program in place,
To say that.
and
COVID shots, same thing.
and they don't
course.
have to actually have an effective program. They could just throw it all in the dump as long as
Yeah, we recycle.
they, you know,
Yeah,
that's
dude. So, but at
ridiculous.
the same time, it gives us that warm hug, feel good feeling. Like
Right.
we're
100%.
saving the earth. You know, realistically, the United States has what, 400 million people? What are we talking here?
Like
400.
330, I think.
Let's
Hey,
just say
Siri.
400 for even money.
How
We'll
many
even
people are
shoot
in
up.
the United States?
We'll say 400 million. It's probably like 360 or something. But for even money, we'll say 400
It was
million.
331 million people. Is what
And
it says.
we're over here putting the most stringent restrictions on ourselves. And China has 2.1 billion, and India has 2.1 billion. And they don't give a fuck. They burn everything. They just use coal. So listen, man, just by simple odds and statistics, there's no way you're gonna tell
Yeah,
me
but their
that this 300
air
million is
populate,
gonna
but
affect
their
this
air,
5 billion.
And their air quality is terrible.
100%. That's what I was trying to say.
No, yeah, but they don't care.
Who's
I'm swiping around left and right. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm belligerent.
Hello.
Hey,
Oh, someone's joining.
Stella.
614.
Stella.
Hello.
Stella,
worked.
can you
Stella, change your name.
Non-video,
Change your
just as
name?
an FYI, non-video can't be seen. So I already have that set up.
Listen, you guys
Oh.
gotta
Oh,
take my
good. Okay.
But
It doesn't
listen,
matter then.
this is what yeah. I already had that set up. Okay, listen. So thank you, Stella, for joining us, our favorite Australian.
Yes.
So one of the
Thank you for
things I
having
kind of
me.
wanted to mention was, so this is on the Wikipedia, and I kind of wanted to break this down, and then I'd love to hear Stella's thought on it, not like the rest of you buffoons. All right. So chemtrail conspiracy theory. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. All right, listen. It says, all right, this article, this is a Wikipedia, right? Chemtrail conspiracy theory. This article is about the conspiracy theory that contrails are deliberate releases of poison for harmful chemicals emitted by aircraft, see environmental impact of aviation, for attempts to influence weather with aircraft, see cloud seeding, for the use of aircraft to apply pesticide and herbicide, see crop testing, for the Beck song, see chemtrails. The chemtrail conspiracy theory is the erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails are chemtrails, consisting of chemicals or biological agents left in the sky by high-flying aircraft sprayed for nefarious purposes, undisclosed to the general public. Well, obviously that's true, but they just really specified that in their initial prerequisite to the whole article. They just broke it down and told you which names is to research it under. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Stella?
I would say it's wrong saying that it's not available to the general public, because if you dig deep enough, you can find this stuff, and you don't even have to dig very deep, actually. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a fella, Jim Lee. You're hearing me okay?
Didn't he wrote a book on chemtrails?
He runs a website called climateviewer.com. It's an excellent resource. Climateviewer.com. If anyone wants to go there, they can certainly learn a lot about chemtrails and contrails and the pros and cons. But yeah, I mean, there's different forms of chemtrails. We've got the contrails and we've got the chemtrails, but they're all real, and they're all fucking up the sky. Oh, sorry. Oops.
That's okay. We're more than 15 minutes in our thing, so it doesn't matter. You can say a bad word. So
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, it says the claim has been dismissed by the scientific community. Oh, because that's so true.
Scientific community is what created this in the first place. Is a fellow called David
100%.
Keith.
That's what I was thinking.
I can tell you, though, I don't know any scientists that have dismissed the idea of chemtrails.
Do you know any scientists?
Isn't Terry a scientist?
He's
Terry
a
from-
mathematician.
Oh, well, then I guess I
His
don't.
wife's a scientist, though.
I studied computer science in college. Does that count?
Yeah, you're a scientist.
Okay.
Close enough.
A science of computers. Right?
Well, there we go.
Because of
Pretend like
persistence of the
Fauci does.
What, Stella? Say that again?
Pretend like Fauci does.
What you have to do is go and get 3 more boosters. Otherwise, your immune response will be too low in the coming season.
Oh my gosh, Big Perm, you need to be on top of it. Don't you have a Fauci one? We can't hear you, love.
Wasn't it?
Huh? Yeah. Oh, he says okay. Hold on 1 second. Michael is back. I
Very
don't know.
sorry. I was in emergency state.
Well, I hold a position that climate change, whether it's real or not, we know that contrails
Don't. Oh, my God.
directly affect the climate in large ways. So if anything, we should be studying those and determining how to disrupt
So-
that whole process.
So here's my question. It says here, because of the persistence of the conspiracy theory and questions about government involvement, scientists and government agencies around the world have repeatedly explained that the supposed chemtrails are in fact normal contrails. But how many times have I seen an aircraft flying over me and I don't see anything coming out of the back of their plane? Why all of a sudden is this normal then?
It depends on a lot of atmospheric conditions for you to be able to see a contrail or chemtrail.
Then why are some of the planes that have these contrails going over you, circling and going back and forth and creating lines in the sky over one specific area? Because it seems like they're purposely trying to drop stuff.
I don't know if you're
And let's
standing
not
in the middle of an airport.
let's not
There's probably a lot of
No,
planes that
like
are
right here in the city of Atlanta or in Sandy Springs, allegedly.
Atlanta's a hub. There's a lot of
Atlanta
planes.
has the busiest airport in the
Yeah, there's a lot
in
of
the United
planes.
States.
in the world.
Tic-tac-toe. It's-
Yeah, and I don't see any trails coming out of the back of those planes
Yeah, they're not dropping chems.
around the airport. But, Midtown, where the airport's not even anywhere near,
Could I just say something real quick? This is
Michael,
the
go
thing.
for it.
This is the thing that blows my mind. So, like Dubai, whatever out there. I don't even know where it's at, but Dubai.
United Arab Emirates.
They create rain with chemtrails over
Oh,
there.
100%.
They
My dad,
literally create rain. Like
So-
we're gonna make clouds. It's gonna rain. It's gonna be lush.
If
So
you
they
guys
can do
don't
that
mind,
there- huh?
I have a clip queued up speaking about Dubai,
go for it.
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Go
play
for
it.
Okay, so we talked about this last week, and now we're going to do a deep dive with Davo. Dubai is making it rain in a sweltering desert by zapping clouds with electricity using drones.
Fascinating, isn't it?
So much to ask, but let's take it, and then we'll do
Okay.
a few questions.
Before we talk about what's happening in Dubai, let's talk about cloud seeding in general, because a lot of people, I don't think, understand what cloud seeding is. And this has been going on for decades, by the way. This is not something that's brand new. But traditionally, what cloud seeding is, it involves using aircraft or drones or even some cannons to push silver iodide up high into the clouds. Why silver iodide? Because what that has the same crystallized structure as ice. So once it gets up into the clouds, it starts to accumulate ice on it and these large raindrops, which helps, especially in a cloud mass that's not really going to rain. It helps to bring rain and especially snow down.
So it works.
It does work marginally, but the problem with silver iodide through the years has been this, is that they feel it could be harmful to aquatic life. Okay. So over in Dubai, which is what you're seeing here,
Or human.
they took it a different step. And what they basically did, they had a fleet of drones that flew up into cloud cover, and they used electrical charges to force water droplets to combine into larger ones.
So not silver, not cloud seeding as we know.
No, they're not using the traditional silver iodide, which takes out the environmental
All right.
aspect of that, okay? So they're using just electricity to create larger raindrops. Why larger raindrops? Because in Dubai, they only average about 4 inches of rain per year, as most of the rain that falls out of the clouds evaporates because it's so hot, it's so dry, and the water molecules are so tiny. So they're trying to stimulate by using electricity these droplets to be larger. Hence, they can make it to the ground. Now, I will tell you that the jury is still kind of out a bit on whether or not this was a fluke, whether this is something that can work long term. So they need to continue with these drones, and they're going to continue to do this. Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Rhodes?
So, assuming it works and it wasn't a fluke, why not use this out in the western U.S. where all these wildfires are and the drought is going on? Could this not help us
That's a
here?
fantastic question, and they've been trying. This is stuff that, first of all, it's very expensive too. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars, which is fine when you're trying to alleviate a drought.
Sure.
It cannot work with wildfires. Here's the thing. You can't just throw silver iodide or electricity into a clear sky and it rains. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the right cloud structure, the right cloud height. They have to be tall, getting up well into the freezing layers. Then you can try to stimulate that process. And they've done that out west. During the winter time when they get days and days of cloud cover, they've done that, and they've noticed they've been able to increase the snowfall pack 5 to 15%.
Okay.
But the area and the weather, Russell, around wildfires is not conducive to that type of cloud cover, so you can't do it. In other words, we need to treat the drought, which will
So
I think that we've heard enough.
yeah.
And that obviously shows that they're not only doing it in the United Arab Emirates, but they're doing it all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone that thinks that contrails and chemtrails have to be mutually exclusive. I think that we see both regularly.
During the Vietnam
probably.
War, my dad was in the Air Force, and he talked about how, like, when hurricanes and stuff like that would come up, how they tried to like fly into the top of the hurricanes to break it up, but that was where they started testing out all of weather manipulation.
Operation Popeye.
Is that what
Thank
it's called?
you, my man.
There you go.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm just saying, like, with these chemtrails and with all this stuff, I mean, it's just science. It's a basic. It's you would try it if you had the technology. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like they might have. I don't know. I feel like for some reason that they crossed a line, but I almost feel like they didn't cross the line. Like, it's tough.
Can I say something to that?
Of course.
It's not just science, it's business. It's very big business. It's about insurance companies. It's about event planning. It's big business. You can, if I was rich enough and my daughter was getting married, I could spend 50, 100 grand and ensure she has a good day for her wedding. It's just normal.
Yeah.
Of course.
There are websites readily available that people can go and look at. I can probably find them for you again. I don't have them in my site right now. That offer these services. I'm looking right now at australianrain.com.au. Readily available to look at and read. Welcome to Australian Rain Technologies.
Where they
talk
can
about
change
ozone.
the weather if you're like getting married and you don't want it to rain on your wedding day or something?
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal.
Wow.
That's just normal business service. That's a service that is offered.
I don't know.
globally.
I mean,
can
unless
buy
that's
it from
offered
the-
here in the United States, I'm sure it is, but because we're poor, we don't know about it.
No, I'm sure. Look, I don't have my research in front of me. This was a very bit of a spontaneous thing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Canada, America, it's there's no exclusion zones. I don't think. I'm not sure exactly how widely the services are spread. Probably more in the Western world where it's a little richer, perhaps. I don't know. But the technology has been going on in Australia and Oman. You were talking about the United Arab Emirates.
Yep.
United Arab Emirates.
Yep.
Oman is where they've been doing it for quite some time, and at like 100% rate of success. But that's also been carried on in Australia. It's called
100%?
Atlant technology.
Incredible.
This has been more through the ionization technology, though, rather than the cloud seeding.
Who would even think about that?
There's several ways of doing weather manipulation. It's not just all coming out of planes.
Wow. I was going to say, with the cloud seeding, you would imagine when we're struggling in California or Arizona or Las Vegas. I went to Las Vegas and it was a 15-day water limit. It was like on deck. So it's like, with that kind of technology, I don't understand why we don't pursue or, you know what I mean, come up with our own, I guess would be.
Well, they explained in the clip that on clear skies, there's nothing to seed. So if there's no clouds to help push along to rain, then it sounds like they're kind of shit out of luck. I'm no expert, but.
Well, somebody posted a YouTube video today that I watched on our Discord that gave a whole history of weather manipulation, cloud seeding, and all that stuff. It was very informative. We should probably put it in the show notes. You know,
Who posted that? Do you know?
I don't recall, but
Oh,
look it up. It's there. But yeah, I mean, in that video, they were talking about, if you think about it, mankind has been trying to make it rain for, millennia through dancing and all sorts of weird traditions. And it wasn't until recently when we started thinking, well, maybe we can do it chemically. And I think the guy that came up with the dry ice uh, theory, he discovered that when he breathed into a cooler that had dry ice in it, he could see the ice crystals forming just in the air. So, he carried dry ice through a cloud, and sure enough, it triggered the ice particles and everything to condense, and rain would come down or snow would come down. So I think that was kind of the start of the modern process.
Just
and
feel
let's not
like
forget that the concept of weather manipulation really did start in the late 19th century.
Yes. But
And
it,
I think a big part of the argument with the two sides we have is Stella, you, Keel, and I had this conversation last night, but there are contrails and there are chemtrails, or whatever you want to call it, cloud seeding or anything like that. So anybody who knows anything about aviation knows that moisture in the, coming out of the exhaust can, since you lose 2 degrees for every 1,000 feet up that an airplane goes, that moisture can freeze and create what we see as like a line cloud. And it seems that the chemtrail community thinks that every commercial airplane that flies up in the air is spraying stuff all over the place, and that every one of those contrails or chemtrails, whatever you want to call it, is spraying on us. And I'm of the belief that they don't have to be mutually exclusive. I have degrees in air traffic control, airline dispatch. I worked for an airline for a few years. I've turned planes by myself. I've emptied and loaded the tanks of the blue juice and the lavatories and everything. I never filled up any chemtrail tank in my time there. But
the only
I
thing I
don't.
want to ask, with your
but you didn't work
insight-
on those chemtrail planes. That could have been the
Well,
issue.
that's my point. That it's not the
Yep.
commercial planes that are doing this. It's
Hence why they don't. You
government.
don't ever see that stuff coming out the bottom of their planes.
the
but
only
the people that are really into the chemtrail community think it's like every plane that's doing
Oh,
it.
really? Well, that's weird. Why would it be every plane?
That's
That
because
doesn't
they
make
haven't
sense
done their
either.
research.
What'd you say, Stella?
That's because they haven't done their research. What a
Oh,
surprise.
yeah.
I mean, it's people just, anyway, let's not go there again. That's an echo chamber. But in my research, I did come across an Italian company who are very often engaged by multiple governments around the world. They're sort of the go-to for manufacturing the equipment that goes onto the planes that carries whatever people want to put in them. They're the dudes. So it's a business. It happens. But yeah, definitely not every single plane. That would just be ignorant to think that. But I keep my eye on the skies a lot, and I've got thousands of photos over the time of vicious kind of looking skies, and then I observe what happens afterwards. At the moment, we're going through a phase which is, I was going to say Groundhog Day, but it's actually Skyhog Day. It's exactly the same every day. It's a formula. Including the trails.
Keelthor had mentioned Operation Popeye earlier. So I'm going to say Operation Popeye, according to Wikipedia, which we all know is so honest. Operation Sober Popeye is not controlled at all. It is definitely the people's information page for sure. They don't ever lock anyone out of anything. But anyways, Operation Sober Popeye, project controlled weather pop blah blah blah, was a military cloud seeding project carried out by the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War in 1967 and 1972, which was the time that my dad was there. So congratulations, Keel. The highly classified program attempted to extend the monsoon season over specific areas of Ho Chi Minh Trail in order to disrupt North Vietnamese military supplies by softening road services and causing landslides. Now, my dad didn't tell me that. My dad told me it was to try to help stop hurricanes and shit. But, you know, my dad, who eventually worked with the CIA at some point, allegedly to him, working on ships and stuff, and a core thing after the military, didn't tell me about that. But why would he? So, plus he's old, you know, he doesn't remember.
It's in the
everything.
interest of national security.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's you know, whatever. Let's just say he's senile. We'll just say that publicly.
Nothing wrong with a good senile person.
He's seen it.
So, along the line of chemtrails, I mean, we got somebody here that knows about them, Mr. Q. Please let me know. Is it real? Is it fake? Give me your insight.
Chemtrails? I don't know. I think it's I've heard arguments most of the stuff that I've heard are tend to be along the lines like what Perm was saying, that people just kind of say, oh, all of them are chemtrails. They're all, you know, evil, full of chemicals, trying to kill us kind of things. But the phenomenon of contrails exists, and it's a real phenomenon, and it doesn't have to contain a bunch of evil chemicals for it to happen. And you will see them sometimes, and sometimes you don't. And it has to do with atmospheric pressure and temperature and all these different weather conditions. So,
well,
you know,
I guess the question I'm getting to with these chemtrails, do you think they're like, I want these people to be stronger, or I want these people to be smarter? Do you think they're really dropping particles down on where they fly over?
Possibly. You know, I think that it would be a very brilliant technique for controlling food production in various parts of the world. You know, even if they
Mass
weren't
vaccination.
or yeah, even if they weren't chemicals being put into the planes, simply by putting more of the type of cloud that contrails produce can, you know, fuck with the temperature in the region. I mean, that's a known measurable phenomenon. So it could be easily true.
There's also the possibility of biological weapons by genetics. We've heard, you know,
right,
the more they collect our DNA, the more they can
here's the
aim a biological weapon towards a certain type set of people.
Have you guys done 23andMe?
No.
Hell
Nope.
no.
If you've done a 23andMe, they have sold their data to, I can't remember, some company that makes
China.
weapons.
China.
So they can be like, oh, you don't like wheat? We're going to kill the people that are allergic to wheat. Like they literally sold all the data to a mass weapon.
I think anybody who's taken a PCR test in the last 2 years probably
your shit's gone.
lost their shit too.
It doesn't matter. We're all
Right.
And I've never taken that either.
I wish I could say the
But-
same,
Me
but
either.
But I
times-
have given plasma, so they got my DNA that way.
Yeah, at on the long or the short end of the stick, we're all caught. We're always like, the government can't take my guns, but if they pull up in a tank, I have no chance. Or if like 2 or 3 military guys came out, I would be disarmed and
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
misconception,
You know what I'm
though,
saying?
that you think the military is going to act on behalf of the government against their own family and friends. The military are part of our community. When somebody like Biden says, oh, your AR-15 is going to do nothing against a tank or a jet. Humans, part of this community, have to run those tanks and those jets. And
Yeah, but
they're
you
going to
say
be having to drop bombs on their own family members and friends.
you say
That's not going to
somebody like
happen.
Biden, but out here, if it was somebody like Trump, these people would have went. They would have gone. Like, what? Give me your gun. I'm like, wait a second, I'm in the middle. They wouldn't have.
Well, the trick to that is you don't send the people that are from the area to go police the area.
Yes.
Send them to
Thank
the
you.
opposite
Exactly
side of
right.
the commercial or other side of the country.
They're
with
going to have to
people
bring
who
in
don't look
NATO
like
for that, because even on the other side of the country, in this country, we got lots of friends in lots of places, and
I
we're not going
know.
to bomb our own people
Can I
anymore.
I have a
can I just
terrible
say something to
feeling.
that?
Stella,
Jump
go
in,
for it.
jump in.
Stella, go for it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. Not sure if there's a delay or not. Yeah, so what you were talking about just then about engaging people from outside the area, so there's no personal contact or relationships. That's exactly what happened here in Australia with those, well, and I'm sure Canada and elsewhere. You've probably seen the footage of the Aussies being thumped and beaten up by the black-clad whatever they were, super soldiers or something. They were definitely not Australians. They were not our force. Not a chance. They were brought in. They were aliens. In fact, I would go so far as to say they've had their souls stripped, but that's just a conspiracy. There was something about that whole setup that was just test. We were just being tested. They were checking out their new soldiers.
Well, unfortunately,
They brought the direct energy weapons into the protest. It took the police a couple of weeks to admit it, but they did admit it. I knew people that were burned there.
Oh.
and that's why
why
we hear people using Australia as an example of why to never give up your guns, because I don't see a whole bunch of Americans getting beaten up by some black-clad soldiers we have never seen before, when
Black-clad.
we have, half a dozen guns in every other closet in this country.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
But then again,
you all know.
we let them shut
That's
us
got to
down,
go.
so who knows?
Yeah, and that happened
Exactly.
in that Monica always refers to the story about the guys in New Orleans during Katrina, and they were out just kind of they had guns. They were just some swamp guys, and they were out there doing their thing out in the floods, and the police boat came rolling up and said, "Hey, you got to give us your guns. It's a direct directive order in the area, something like that." And they gave them up, and then the police left, and they turned and looked at each other and said, "Wait a minute, what happened to our cold dead hands? We just gave them our guns. That's just happened." So I mean, it depends on the situation, I guess. If we were actually being like attacked en masse by columns of troops going from neighborhood to neighborhood, whether they were American troops or not, that would be a way that we would organize and neighborhoods would defend themselves. That would happen. But it's
you'd know they were coming.
Yeah, the isolated kind of stuff, when it's one or two guys and they're approached by police, and if you fight back, there's just going to be more police and you're going to lose. So we the big evil vision that we all have of tyranny is probably going to be harder to achieve by the state than dealing with it in piecemeal, if that makes sense. Little by little, little is going to be their plan. They're not just going to all troop up and start stomping through our neighborhoods, because they know that'll hit resistance.
Well, the way it happened in Australia, as you probably all know, was the Port Arthur incident, 1996. I was living in Tasmania at the time, actually. Now, let me set one thing straight first. Australia has not given up all their guns, okay? Everyone thinks that we're all sitting here completely defenseless. That's not true. It was automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapons. I've got a friend who has just purchased a gun that I don't know a lot about guns. I have used them. I know a lot about them, but you can have something like 4 in a cartridge, whatever that means. So you can also have handguns, etc., but strict storage, etc., registration. So yeah, they know what you've got, unless you've got ghost guns, of course. But getting back to the Port Arthur incident, we handed in our guns, my gun.
Oh, I'm in motion.
Because it was such a massive freak out. Like, that stuff just doesn't happen in Australia. And then when that happened, everyone was just shell-shocked. And it was like, oh, my God, what can we do? Hand in the guns. Sure, if that's going to make us safer, go for it. And we just we weren't educated enough. We weren't down the line enough to know really what was going on. Well, not enough people were. So it was very easy. And, you know, that was a false flag, in my opinion. It's a very big subject. But yeah, that was definitely a false flag. Thank you, John Howard, the Prime Minister at the time. Evil little.
Well, at least you guys still have your stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're still able to at least have some defenses. So why do you think they were able to, like, even though a lot of the so-called citizens or people of Australia were still armed, that they felt so comfortable to allegedly shut it down as much as, like, we heard that they did? Were they not afraid of
sorry, I'm not really
retaliation
clear
and
on the
stuff
question.
like that?
No, because it was one Fruit Loop. Like, this is the story, the narrative. It was one Fruit Loop down in a little island in a place that's just nowheresville. It had nothing to do with anything else, and it was just people just saying, well, yeah, okay, we don't want to go the route of America, because all we used to see from America was massive shootings, mass shootings, another one. And we're just going, we don't want to go down that road. So that was the thinking. I think that was the general populace thinking.
Was that after Columbine then? If it was in the 90s, is that what spurred the effort down there in Australia?
Was that before 96?
I think it was.
I'm not really sure.
I think it was 95.
Yeah, there was a number of them.
Interesting.
There was a number of mass shootings. But
if only we had a small box in our hands, we could look this stuff up.
I can do that.
Hey, Siri, when was Columbine?
Dang, Siri coming through.
Well, that was 99.
Yeah, I don't think it was that far.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
but
in
there
19.
was,
oh, yeah.
There have been
April
a lot
20th,
of that.
1999. Wow.
Yep.
There
were mass shootings before.
Thank you, Big Perm. I've been trying to get him to say that for a while, Stella. But I was like, oh, it's the one from Rocky. And they're like, no, that's Adrian. I was like, oh. We'll play the other one. Anyways, we're about to wrap up. Is there any last thing anybody would like to say? And then, Big Perm, please cue up a closeout.
Closeout clip? Yes, please.
Closeout clip, please.
Can we start with the Australian? May you start us? Sorry.
Michael, we had our talk.
I totally biffed that. Sorry, my bad.
I'd just like to say, well, thank you for having me here. It was nice to join. This is my very first long-time listener, first-time caller. I've posted into the show notes the Jim Lee Climate Viewer episode, which I highly recommend people go and watch, because it does go into a little bit of the history, the origins of even just the chemtrails, which them themselves, even if they seem innocent, aren't. So yeah, have a look at that episode, and you can't find me many places. Thank you for having me.
You cannot find me. Stella, if you send us that link, then we'll post it in the show notes.
It's in the show notes link now. Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's in the show notes thing.
All right, you're ahead of us all, Stella. Stella! Okay, go ahead. Who
Love
else
you
is
all.
next? Love you too, Stella.
Me.
Michael, you're breaking up. Michael, we broke up with you.
He's doing the
There
robot.
you go, Michael. Go ahead.
Sorry, I walked too far away from my Wi-Fi.
All right, go ahead. You want to
Sorry.
close this out? You want to close out?
All right. No, someone else has to close out. I just have a good middle movement.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to
Perm,
say thank you
Theodore.
guys very much again for letting me jump in. Big love. Thank you so much. My wife's about to mow the lawn. There we go. Front face.
I think you're the one that's about to mow the lawn. Oh, she's doing it. Okay. She's cooking steak and mowing the lawn. What do you do around there, Michael?
He dances.
He dances.
Eats.
That's why he married a white woman, because he knew she would do everything. Anyways. All right. Go ahead, Carl or Big Perm.
What up, what up, what up? I'm Big Worm. I mean Big Perm. I love all my co-hosts and all of our listeners. And I'm happy every time I get a chance to sit down and talk with all of you. And appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Minimum wage is fake. Recycling is fake. Gun control is fake. Airplanes are fake.
And climate control is fake.
I've been on lots of airplanes. They're not fake.
Space is fake.
There are some fake airplanes. I assume.
Space is fake and gay.
There you go.
And we didn't
That's
land
another
on
one.
the moon, even though my dad says we did. It's one thing I will not believe from him, because how come we've never done it again? That doesn't make sense.
It's so expensive, and there's nothing up there.
We've definitely never gone to the moon, and we can have an episode about that in future times.
Oh, we will. Me and Terry will.
Yes. Oh, we will.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for being amazing. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being whatever, wherever, whenever. We love you. And most of all, thank you for listening to our crazy selves who just got together and was like, hey, our crazy conversations, let's go ahead and just share them with the world, because why not? So we are going to close out with an amazing soundbite. Go for it, Big Perm.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Which is a true story, by the
you got-
way. You should research it. Look it up.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Union of the Unknowns. You can find new episodes every week on all your favorite podcasting networks.